who was also injured. Aina Kwan and her husband were on their way to work at their Japanese restaurant when they were stopped at a red light at an intersection around 11:15 a.m. Gooseby allegedly sprinted toward the driver's side of the window of their white Tesla with a gun raised. And in a short span of time, he fired a gun. After firing all the bullets he had in his into the victim's car, he turned and ran from the scene. So this is someone who was driving in there. It was in their car in the middle. It's 11:15 a.m. You're just stopped at an intersection. In your car, door is locked, right? And not even safe doing that. So this is a brutal murder in broad daylight. A pregnant woman is killed along with her unborn child. And the killer is not guilty by reason of insanity, which means that he can be, and likely will be, it says in the article, can be released. Last time the article says, Gooseby's future release will depend on approval from multiple state and court entities, the station added. So, he can be released. And he will be eventually. And then they'll do it again. I mean, we know how this movie ends, or it's not even the end. We know how it goes, how it continues. The fact that he is too delusional to know, allegedly, that he shouldn't murder innocent women.
Well, now at 10, it's a startling gaming trend, with children sparking outrage for some parents in a Utah school district. A game, 5 nights.
Means that he will be released back to the public to murder more innocent, which he will almost certainly do. Now, like I said, we talked about this lunacy many times. It just keeps happening. I've made the case against insanity on several occasions in the past. I think the plea should not exist. Summarize again, it's important. The insanity defense should not exist in the law. It has been. There are a lot of conceptual problems with it. A lot of problems in principle. It makes sense or make an argument for it. The fact is that it has been abused. At a minimum, we can say it has been abused horrifically for decades. And a lot of people have died because of it. I mean, first of all, not by reason of insanity. I mean, you are guilty, right? The guy in this case, he definitely did it. He admitted to it. They went to arrest him, and he said, and I quote, I did it. There's no question that he did it. But how can a person be not guilty of doing something that he did? If I accept the premise that he was insane and not in control of his faculties, he still did it. It was a thing that somebody did it. And no one else did it but him. This is a factual matter. And, law of sports that existed, not guilty, has always meant that the person is accused of doing something didn't do it, or at least if it was not proven beyond a reasonable doubt that they didn't do it. That's what not guilty means. Not guilty means you're accused of doing something the prosecution did not think that you had done. There's a ruling that says, yeah, you did it, and we all know you did it, but 100% certain, but you're not guilty. It makes no sense. Imagine just if this was something anonymous, like if you walk up to an insane person wearing a red shirt, and you go, you put on a red shirt this morning. It wouldn't make any sense for somebody else to run up and say, no, he didn't. He's insane. He didn't put on a red shirt.
Online.
I think same thing did put on a red shirt. That's
Switching mags.
It's a thing that happened. He is guilty of putting on a red shirt. Guilty. Now, we're not arguing that he did the thing, but his guilt is mitigated because of other factors. Well, we already have that kind of distinction built into the system. That is why we have the criminals of murder. It's why we have manslaughter. It's why we have all these other distinctions that are already in the system. It's also why we have the judge in charge of sentencing in a specific way in mitigating factors. The question of whether he did it, whether he's guilty of doing it, is one of objective reality. And the objective reality is that he is guilty. Not guilty of doing what he did is
Tactical out.
and even if the person's crazy,
Loading
it's crazy.
flashback.
Nobody can tell you that. No one can define what we're crazy.
Changing back.
There's no real freedom on
On the
definition.
wheel. Switching mags.
Like, where do you draw the line in crazy?
Getting lit up.
There's all kinds of people out there all the time doing things that I would judge as crazy. Doing things that are irrational, self-destructive.
I have a 134 IQ. I make less money than friends who barely passed high school.
Are we all crazy?
Tactical out.
Entirely subjective. And the idea is that, well, he's crazy because he didn't understand what he was doing while he did it. Well, that's impossible.
Tossing tactical.
And his hands on the ground, he would do otherwise.
Exactly.
He ran away. If he didn't know that what he was doing was
Friendly
wrong,
mortar strike in.
why did he run away?
Tossing tactical.
This always happens with these insanity cases.
Exactly.
He does something terrible,
Enemy UAV.
tries to run away. It's wrong. And then we're supposed to believe they didn't know that what they did was wrong. Well, then why did they run? Running away is a universal sign, that is a universal form of communication saying, I did something bad.
Mission time is half. Maintain the
We're making judgments about a person's mental state, as I've argued
mission
many
complete.
times.
Good work.
Every person who's ever committed a heinous crime has, at the time of the crime, been in a state of mind that could not be considered normal or healthy by definition. I mean, how do you distinguish every sane killer in history from this guy? You can't. It's totally arbitrary. Because murdering somebody is not something that you do if you're a well-adjusted, clear-thinking, normal person. And that's true of a lot of other crimes. Armed robbery. Normal people don't commit armed robbery. Normal, healthy people don't do that. The mental state of every murderer, armed robber, etc., is automatically, by definition, impaired compared to you or me. Right? I mean, you take anyone who's a murderer, and if that person had my mental state or your mental state, they wouldn't have done that. Because you or I would never do that. But in their own mental state, they did do it. Okay. Okay. Well, that's what prison is for. Prison is for people with that kind of mental state. That's what it's for. So we just need to get rid of the insanity defense, which, by the way, we can. States can abolish the insanity defense. States can. 4 states have already done it: Idaho, Kansas, Utah. I believe in the 4 states without insanity defense. And there was a Supreme Court decision on this relatively recently, back in 2020. This went to the Supreme Court. The question of whether or not states can abolish the insanity defense, or is it like a constitutional right that people have with insanity, and so states can't abolish it? The Supreme Court said, well, if states can.
Throwing flash.
Secure the target area.
Blood
Target
was down.
area located. Secure the hard point.
Loading.
That I have now automated away. Almost entirely.
We have taken the lead.
I've wondered about that for over a decade. I really hesitated to make this because
Flash out.
Hard point compromised. Hardpoint relocated.
Flash out!
Secure the target area.
I'm not the enemy here. Very fast! Took a shot. Flash out!
By any measure, the same resume is achieved that all stems from age 10 sophistication.
Very fast!
Victorian language,
Confirming that stand by.
visual descriptions, and metaphors in a police she described
Enemies inside the perimeter. Target area updated. Move to the hardpoint.
Flash out! Very fast! Turn it back! Took a shot.
Hostile
Flash out!
UAV in the area.
Mel! I've gotten out of worse scrapes, huh? Swapping backs!
Standing by. Friendly mortar strike on the way.
Requesting recon flyover!
Hardpoint relocated. Stand by.
Took a shot! Drop zone mark!
Hardpoint relocated. Time is half over. Maintain the lead. Hardpoint compromised. Secure the area.
Charge it! I'm never down for now!
Enemies inside the perimeter.
Deploying bomb drone!
Bomb drone ready to detonate. Target destroyed.
Friendly cruise missile deployed.
Very fast!
Confirming
out!
next
Took a
Stand
shot!
by.
Aim for the enemy!
Area updated. Move to the hardpoint.
Frag out! Very fast! I'm hit! Took a shot!
Hardpoint
Flash out!
compromised. Secure the area.
Took a shot! Very fast!
Hardpoint relocated. Stand by.
Flash out!
Enemies inside the perimeter. Hardpoint
Very
relocated.
fast! I'm not the enemy here! Swapping backs! Loading ammo! Flash out! Putain! Aim for the enemy! Thermite! Take cover! Very fast!
1 minute remaining. Confirming next hardpoint. Stand by.
Get back!
Target area update. Move to the hard point.
I've got another worse scrapes, huh? Need recon overhead.
Hardpoint relocated. The mission is complete. Good work.
It's trusted by over 30 million people, including me. Check them out at piavpn.com/elephantsandworms. Links below, or scan this QR code. So, there have been tens of thousands of people deafblind from a young age. Why are we only talking about a handful? Part of that answer could be the rules